The most expensive purchase of your life probably won't be a house, a luxury car, or an extravagant vacation. In fact, it might be a simple $10 decision you make today and completely forget about tomorrow. Most people hear that and immediately dismiss it. After all, how could $10 possibly matter in a world where homes cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and billionaires make millions in a single day? But that's exactly why so many people fail to understand one of the most powerful forces in finance, because the story isn't really about $10, it's about time. Imagine standing at the top of a mountain holding a tiny snowball in your hand. It looks insignificant, nobody would be impressed by it, but if you roll that snowball downhill, something interesting happens. It gathers more snow, then more, then even more. What started as something small and forgettable eventually becomes massive. Money works in much the same way. The challenge is that most people only notice the snowball once it becomes huge. They never see the years when it looked too small to matter. And that's where the opportunity hides. Every day, millions of people spend small amounts of money without giving them a second thought: a coffee on the way to work, a food delivery because cooking feels inconvenient, an online purchase made out of boredom, a subscription they barely use. None of these decisions seem important on their own. In fact, each one feels harmless. But finance has a strange way of turning small actions into large consequences when enough time passes. That's because every dollar has two possible jobs. It can either be spent once, or it can be invested and continue working for years. Most people only see the first option because the reward is immediate. The coffee tastes good now, the package arrives tomorrow. The entertainment starts instantly. Investing, on the other hand, feels boring. You give up money today and receive almost nothing in return. Let's do some simple math. Imagine investing just $10 a day, that's about $300 a month. For many people, that's less than what they spend on things they won't even remember purchasing a year from now. The first year doesn't look impressive, neither does the second. In fact, the growth feels disappointingly slow. This is where most people quit. They expect dramatic results from a process designed to reward patience. But compounding doesn't work on human timelines, it works on mathematical ones. At first, your money grows slowly because there isn't much of it. Then your investments start generating returns. Those returns begin generating returns of their own. Over time, the growth starts accelerating. Eventually, the money you've earned from your investments becomes greater than the money you're contributing. That's the moment when compounding shifts from being invisible to being undeniable. What's fascinating is that nearly every great fortune in history has been built on this principle, not necessarily through saving $10 a day, but through allowing time and compounding to work together. Yet most people never experience the full power of compounding because they underestimate how valuable time really is. They spend years waiting for a better opportunity, a higher salary, or the perfect moment to start investing. The problem is that every year spent waiting is a year compounding never gets back. Money can be replaced, time cannot. That's why someone who starts investing a small amount at 25 often ends up with more wealth than someone who starts investing much larger amounts at 40. The difference isn't effort, it's time. Modern life makes this even harder. Everything around us is designed to encourage immediate gratification. We can order food, watch movies, buy products, and access entertainment within seconds. The world rewards speed. Wealth, however, rewards patience. The financial habits that create long-term success often feel uncomfortable in the short term because they require sacrificing something today for a benefit that may not arrive for years. That's why investing isn't really a battle against the market, it's a battle against human nature. The desire to have more now is constantly competing against the wisdom of having much more later. A clear example of this can be seen in everyday professionals who quietly build wealth without anyone noticing. Consider a regular office worker who earns a modest salary but automatically invests a small portion every month without fail, while colleagues upgrade phones, lease new cars, and increase their lifestyle with every raise. This person keeps the same habits. Nothing dramatic happens in the first few years, and on the surface, it may even look like they are falling behind. But after a decade or two, the difference becomes extreme. Their investments have grown, not just from contributions but from compounding returns that now outpace their salary growth. This is how many middle-income individuals quietly become financially independent without ever having a high income. Another real-world example can be found in early investors of companies like Amazon or Apple. Many of them were not wealthy experts. They were ordinary people who simply held on to their investments for decades. Some invested small amounts in the early stages when the companies were still uncertain and even mocked by the market. At the time, those investments looked insignificant. But over time, as the companies grew, those small early bets turned into life-changing wealth. The key wasn't timing the market perfectly, it was staying invested long enough for compounding to fully unfold. Even outside of stocks, this principle appears everywhere in life. Think about fitness. Someone who exercises for 20 minutes a day may not see changes in a week or even a month. But after years of consistency, the transformation is undeniable. The same applies to skills, careers, and relationships. Small consistent actions don't look powerful in isolation, but over time they become defining, and that's the real lesson hidden behind the $10 habit. This isn't a story about becoming a millionaire from spare change, it's a story about how small decisions shape entire futures. Every dollar you spend is making a choice about where your life is headed. Most of those choices feel insignificant because their consequences are delayed. But delayed consequences are still consequences. The future isn't built by one giant decision, it's built by thousands of tiny ones that compound over time, just like money does. So the next time you're about to spend $10, pause for a moment and ask yourself a simple question: am I buying something that will make me happy for a few minutes, or am I giving up something my future self might thank me for? Because the difference between those two choices may be worth far more than $10.